All right, we're in the 2023 Genesis GV60 Performance, and I live in a place that has no charging station because I'm in a condo and it doesn't have power to the carports. So I need to charge. I've got 19 miles of range and I need to use this charging station. I have no idea. I think I have to back into it, so I'm just gonna do that right now. And then see, it's on the right side, but I have no idea which kind of plug it is, so I'll have to figure this out and cut everything off over there. I don't know. This is a new place. It's a gas station. I'm not going to say their name because they're not sponsoring this video. No one sponsors these videos. No one pays for me to do these things. I do this for you guys, and Genesis provided this car for me for the week. So what I'm going to do is figure this thing out. I've driven a couple EVs in the past, and the one that stuck out most in my mind was the Jaguar I-Pace. That was like a car first and an EV second. It wasn't like an EV that they tried to make a car, right? And it was a nice thing because it had leather and a nice roof and everything. And this Genesis is the same thing. It's a very nice car that just happens to be an EV, although it's a brand new platform and it's specific to being an EV. So I'm sure you've seen other videos of reviews of this car, but I'm gonna give you a real life experience here. As you know, I started a channel called Diesel Drives, where I drove diesels across Texas on a single tank. And here what I'm trying to do is obviously I love the torque of an electric car. I love the let's just say the instantaneous response of an EV, because there's no lag between putting the foot down on the throttle and then the gears changing and then you go. In the EV, it's just go. So there's a really cool driving aspect to a car like this, but I also think that there's a very unique downside to having an EV, which is I have to charge it and I don't know how long it's going to take. And this is my first time charging this car, and I'm not going to give you a review just yet on this car. I'm just going to give you this experience. So 19-mile range, it's a 12% battery power left, and basically I'm at the mercy of this charging however long it takes. But I also know that when we got to this range, probably somewhere around 15%, it seems to have retarded the throttle, as in like you're not getting full instant response that you would normally get, which is interesting because on these EVs, let me just turn it off here. On these EVs, you don't lose weight because you're not burning fuel. So like in a normal car, you would have a full tank of fuel and it would weigh like, I don't know, 75 to 125 pounds. And then as you burn it, the car gets lighter. So the weight distribution changes just a little bit. You'd notice it in something like a Mazda. I had 3 coffees today, by the way. That's why I'm talking so much. Anyway, this is a unique experience and I just want to share it. So I hope you appreciate that. Okay, it's a power door. This is a J1772 receptacle right here, but if you pull this out, I think that's called CHAdeMO. So a lot of the plug-in hybrids only have this plug, which is a level 2, which most charging stations are, but this here is a level 3, I would call it. And here you see CHAdeMO and CCS. Okay, so CHAdeMO, that's the Nissan Leaf, and CCS is like the new standard. And then you now have a way to just pay with your credit card versus having to have a card reader. But I don't know what the price is. So 180 kilowatt hours is CCS. So that's the faster one right there. And I don't know what the charge is, but we're gonna figure it out after I get it all plugged in. So we just plug it in and then we see how long it takes. So let's do that. Here we go. Okay, well, it never ceases to amaze me how difficult they make this. You actually have to have the 7-Eleven app, so now I know where I am. And then you have to have the app and then scan the QR code, get the station ID, and then plug in plug in the cable of the vehicle, and then on the app, tell it to charge. Now, imagine how fun this would be if it was raining. This would be awesome. This would be hysterical. All right, so let me download an app. This is why, yeah, anyway, I'll be back. Okay, this is super frustrating. I plugged the car in there. That cable is big and heavy, So you have to kind of wrangle it into the socket. And then basically on the app, you have to agree to the terms and conditions. And then unfortunately, I have an Android phone that works well, but the app apparently thinks that I still need to enter my credit card information. So rather than using Google Pay built into the phone, I had to go get a credit card and then enter the credit card information into the stupid 7-Eleven app. And now, as you can see here, it's charging. Now, a battery that is 88 kilowatt hours, that is getting 100 kilowatt hours, will charge this in like, I don't know, 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Well, here it says 34 minutes. So I have 34 minutes to kill here. And right now it's getting really hot. So I think I can turn it on and then turn the AC on while I wait. Maybe. Well, I'm going to use the climate, of course. It says here it's 34 degrees Celsius outside. And then now it's 58 minutes of charge time. And here's the deal. It's 58 minutes to 100% and it's 33 minutes to 80%. So you'd be like, wait a second. How come it takes an extra 25 minutes to go 25% or 20% of charging if it takes 33 minutes to give me 67%? That's just the way it is. It fast charges to 80%. And apparently the beauty of these EVs is that you don't have to go to 100%. You can go to 80%, and that actually increases the efficiency of the battery. So the fallacy here, after having diesel drives as a channel and now driving an EV, is that they talk about range at 100% battery, but on a typical charge, you only charge to 80%. So have you ever given yourself a full tank of fuel and thought, yes, I want 3/4 of a tank? No, you don't do that. But here in an EV, that is apparently acceptable. And by the way, the app that is set up tells me that the price of charging is 50 cents a kilowatt. So 88 kilowatts at 50 cents is $44 to get a full charge. And on $44, I would be able to go, I think the range is 220 miles. So that's just, you can see down here, 2 miles per kilowatt hour. So it's 22 cents a mile. I thought EVs were supposed to be cheap and efficient and effective, but immediately, if you didn't do this kind of research, and if you listen to some other YouTube jackals about EVs and how they're so great, and they really just kind of shill this whole thing, you'd buy one of these and you'd be like, oh crap, because you're not really saving anything as far as I can tell right now. And this is actually without even you having to pay for a charging system to be installed at your house. You're using this thing right here, the 7-charge system. And don't forget that I'm charging and then someone else can pull up in a Leaf and charge there, and you can't stop them from doing it. And on some charging stations that would slow down your charging rate. So you're basically here for 32 minutes and you're captive. Is there anywhere to go? I guess I could get my phone fixed if I had to, but that looks like it used to be a Circuit City, but it's now going to be a public storage facility. There's a Family Dollar right there. There's really nothing I can do other than just sit here. I can't go get a coffee. I can't do anything other than go inside this 7-Eleven store, which is behind us in the mirror here, and get some tacos, because apparently this is a brand new station and it is a taco joint as well. So we get to eat some nasty tacos. It's actually 11:19 in the morning, and this clock is an hour behind. Things are in Celsius, but I still get things in miles. I don't understand where the settings are, but this is the important screen here. Sets the temperature, sets the time to the scheduled charging, whatever. So if we're gonna, I don't have time for this. I really don't have time to just like turn this thing on and off. Scheduled charging and climate. I wish there was just a climate setting for while it was charging. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this off. You'll see it's at 19%, and we have 32 miles of range now. I guess if you're in a real hurry and you needed to go somewhere and you needed 50 miles so that you can go there and back here again later and charge. I don't know, but I'm just rambling at this point. But this whole thing is just blowing my mind. This is a nice car. It's got a great interior. It's got massage seats for the driver. You know, the materials are great. It does not look like any bean counters were allowed to touch this car. It just seems like a totally like engineered car. And there are like plastic switches here for the window. This is not metal, so you could tell like there's some things where they either cut cost or cut weight, or they used one excuse for the other. But I still think like the power you get out of here and the performance you get out of here is worth it. But this lifestyle right here, this nonsense, 50 cents a kilowatt hour, I'm gonna pay 40 bucks, and it's gonna take me either 30 minutes or 55 minutes for that pleasure, and I have to figure out what I'm gonna do, which means I have to spend even more money. Well, let's go figure this out. Let's turn this thing off. I'll just show you what's going on here with the charger. This is one whole screen, by the way. Doesn't matter, more cars are gonna be doing that. So does this give me a status here? So they obviously communicate with the vehicle, and this is now going to be locked. I have no idea what that does, but I will lock the car from here. There you go. And let's go inside. Spend more money apparently. Yes, I love my parking job. Screw you. Impressive. This is cool. This is cool. Well, that was interesting. Just tacos, and it's like really salty food, no breakfast tacos, and a lot of coffee machines. Pretty cool stuff. Nitro on tap is interesting, but what I really need to do is get a full charge. And I don't think, you know, when you do a Google map search on fuel, it'll tell you where the gas station is and most likely what the gas prices are. But I noticed here on electric vehicle charging, they don't tell you what the price is, and I don't even know if it's gouging or not. Like, why would they equate the price of fuel to the price of electricity? Are you allowed to really make money on a utility when you're reselling it like this? I mean, because clearly they're not producing electricity. It's coming from somewhere else. But in Texas, the rate is actually 6 cents a kilowatt hour, and I'm paying 50 cents here. So at home, it's 6 cents. If I had a charging station at home, I'd be paying 6 cents. Because in Texas, they have an unregulated market, so you could do any contract you want, especially here in Dallas, with any provider, and my rate's 6 cents, but here it's 50, and I'm paying for the ability to charge it faster. I don't know, not adding up. So while I'm waiting around doing absolutely nothing for the next 23 minutes to 48 minutes, I have to sit in here with the AC on because it's hot out, and I hear some fans buzzing and things going on, probably to keep this thing cool, because I'm sure with all that electricity coming in here, it's creating heat. But then I realized, you know, back in the 90s, they had this thing about EMF, or some kind of like electro frequency radiation, And that was a big deal. Like, don't live near power lines, don't live near junction boxes, you know, that kind of stuff right there would be like, don't put that near your bedroom. Don't buy a house that has that off the wall, exterior wall of a house, like by the rooms. But here I am in an electric car sitting on an entire bed of batteries underneath us under this floor here, and it's being charged, and I'm next to that whole system there, and then whatever's going on in here, it's starting to hum along a lot. And I'm thinking, like, whatever is the deal with electromagnetic frequency radiation? Is that even not a thing anymore? Like, do they have like a special Faraday cage going on to protect me? I don't know. But maybe the EMF thing, or whatever you want to call it, is just a conspiracy theory or some kind of joke, and they found a way to make it like seem like it's a big deal. Like maybe that's the oil industry doing something. I don't know. But here I am doing nothing, waiting. What this tells me is I would never hire someone who owns a Tesla, because they're going to have to spend at least one day a week figuring out how to waste an hour to do what they got to do, which is charge their car. And I think what that means is they're going to schedule a phone call before or after lunch, and then rather than just take the car, charge it, and get lunch, they're going to take the car, charge it, take the call while they're charging, and then go get lunch. That's what I would do. Plus, as I sit here in unfamiliar territory, it's definitely not the best neighborhood. And I feel like I'm just a sitting duck waiting for someone to come up to me and say, I want that. They have all the time in the world to decide how they're going to do that to me. And I think a lot of people who would own a car like this don't really have a way to defend themselves. So there are some settings in here on the EV side, and you can go here and then you can tell it on DC charging, the battery will be charged according to the selection set. It'll go to 100%. I'm not setting it to 80%, but here it's saying 80%, 16 minutes from now. And then if you, well, almost triple the time it would take to get there, you get to 100%. So almost 3 times the time to get to what you're setting here. So I don't know why 80% is this quote-unquote magic number, and this is what all EVs have, but they say if you go to 100% every single time, you're gonna damage the battery, basically. Apparently batteries have memory, and you know what ends up happening is you don't really ever get 100% ever again when you do these charges. That's why they do 80%. And there are other channels out there. A good one is called Bjorn Nyland, and he's over in Europe, or what's that country? It's not in the EU, but it is up there in the continent, Norway. And basically Norway has a lot of EVs, and he's got a lot of access to EVs and a lot of access to chargers, and he's got a lot of awesome content on there. But he's basically saying 100% is never 100%. It's just telling you 100%. Whereas when you're filling up with gas, you know what a full tank is. So you're really getting cheated on these EVs when you're using whatever they're telling you here. And I think this day and age, people are being used to getting cheated from all angles and all areas of life. So, you know, you might set this to 100, but it's not really going to be 100. You could probably be better off setting, well, you can't even do it to 99. But if we just set it to 80 for either or, and then, you know, just live with that and let it be fine. So we're also able to set the current for the charging, and regenerative braking, and lock the charge cable while charging. And yeah, we're just gonna let it do its thing here. Apparently there's a charger half a mile away at the Holiday Inn Express Suites, but that's not gonna be a fast charger. It's gonna be a level 2, and those level 2 chargers are usually provided by a third party called ChargePoint, and that's like $2 an hour, and you're getting 7 kilowatt hours. So it's 7 kilowatts for $2, or here it's 50 cents. So it'd be 50 cents. You'd have, for 7 kilowatt hours, 50 cents. I can't do the math right now. It's more than $2 an hour in the equivalent of whatever. You see? Why can't it just be simple like that is over there? Okay. It's so much per gallon. Whatever. I'll get to reviewing this car in a minute. Let me just get somewhere with at least 80 to 100% charge on my battery. Come to think of it, I don't even have to wait for sketchy people to come up to me. They can just wait for me to come out of my car to unplug everything, right? Scary. What's even scarier is the fact that I came here with 19 miles of range left, and I now have 124 miles, so it's 105 miles. And how many kilowatt hours did it take to get another 105 miles? And how much did I spend per kilowatt hour? We're gonna do the math in 8 minutes once I get to 80% and unplug this thing. Just doing the math, stopping the charge at 80% doesn't actually help me at all, because I only have a 136 mile range there, and that means I'd be back here in like a day paying the same rate to rapid charge. So what I think I want to do is change it again to 100% on both of these, and now once I get to the full charge, I'll get the real estimation of how much it costs, how long it takes, and how many miles I get out of it, and what the real cost of it is, meaning what the actual cost of a full charge means to go a certain amount of miles, and compare that to, I don't know, 20 miles per gallon in any other vehicle. Look at this. These people are just fascinated by this crap. This is a great car, no doubt, but I'm just talking about now in general, the whole concept of an EV and the things you have to go through just to use it. It's just way too complicated. Way too complicated. And I think it's like that on purpose. It's like a lease payment. You're like, okay, I only want to pay $500 a month. And they do all this witchcraft math in the back to make the most out of you. And then you end up paying that. And then in the end, it's not even your car in the end. You have to get rid of it. And I think it's the same way here. There's a bunch of witchcraft with electricity, which in my view, electricity should be free, because, you know, what you're really paying for is the whole grid system that delivers the electricity. And if there was a flat monthly fee, which this may be the future, a flat monthly fee just to use the grid, and you can have as much electricity as you want as to your private residence, that would make more sense in the future. And you got to remember, back in the day when cell phones came out, it was like 6-7 cents a minute, and if you went to like 1 minute and 7 seconds, they would round that up to a 2-minute call, and you would pay 14 cents for that call. So we don't do that anymore. We just have, you know, $40 a month and unlimited data and unlimited this, but you're just paying to access the network. And I think that's where we're going to end up with these EVs. But you know, that may take at least till 2024 to fix that, if you know what I mean. Boom, there we are. We're at 80%, 81%, and now we are basically going to be at the mercy of this last stretch, the stretch from 80 to 100% charge, which is estimating it to be 22 minutes. So I still have more time here. As you can see, I'm texting with Mike Satterfield from thegentlemanracer.com. Cool guy. Also, he's president of Texas Motor Press Association. I was president last year, so we're just basically sharing some thoughts here. So what I basically have is a electric vehicle that now has a 156 mile range, and let's go see how much electricity it consumes so far. Let me wipe the lens here, pardon me. I hear this guy talk about his car.
Hey, I really like your car.
Ah, thanks.
Is it brand new?
Yeah,
I've
23.
never seen this before. It's an interesting color.
That's because it's a press car.
It's a press car?
Yeah.
Are you doing a road trip?
No, I'm with Texas Motor Press, and I'm just analyzing it.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome. What's your read on it? You tell us later.
Yep.
Read the article.
Yep. Thanks.
Good. How's the charging? Is it 90
nope.
kW or 180?
No comment.
Okay.
Okay, so 60 kilowatt hours at 50 cents a kilowatt hour. $30 to go 100. If I was to stop it now, to go 160 miles, which let's deduct 20 to make it math easy. 140 miles for $30. If I was to get a car that got 20 miles per gallon, that would take 6 gallons of gas at $5. That'd be $30 at $5 a gallon. But it's not $5 a gallon, it's $4 a gallon. Oh. So I'm paying about $5 a gallon in gas equivalent for an electric car, and I'm spending more time to charge it. Uh-oh. We have a problem. Alrighty, it's 11:02. Technically it's 12:02. The clock is just an hour behind. What does that mean? Well, it means if you go back to the beginning of this video, I rolled up here at 10:02 with a 19-mile range. I've been here for an hour. Downloaded an app, plugged that thing in, walked inside, turned around, came back in here, started doing some video, doing the math, right? And what does this really mean? This means if you're not charging at home, and if you're traveling, and you're going somewhere strange, like Fort Worth or Waco or Austin, you would end up at a place where you might not have the app. You might have to download the app to use that charger. Now think about how ridiculous it would be to have to use an app for every fuel station you go to for every brand. And then that's the only way you refuel. That's what the EV life is. So if you travel, you're going to spend a lot of time and have a lot of apps on your phone and use your credit card for a lot of things. But what is going to happen is you're going to sit in a car for a long time. And I'm not knocking this car in particular. I'm just knocking EV concept. But if you look around in here, I've got an Alcantara suede-like headliner. I've got leather seats. I've got contrast stitching. I've got piping. I've got Range Rover-esque quality in here. It's much better in here than I would say in a Mercedes. And you got to go back to the Jag I-Pace that I drove 2 years ago. That car was $88,000. This one is $68,000. So this is the way EVs are going. The EV, just like computers or just like your calculator, is going to be double the speed and half the price as time goes on. So this is just proof. You could have dropped 88 grand on an I-Pace 2 years ago and spent a lot of money in depreciation. Or you could spend 68 on this, and I'm not even talking about EV incentives and all that crap. Let's just go with the sticker price. 68 on this and have a much better car than that I-Pace was when it came out 2 years ago. So I can only imagine what the future is going to bring, not only through the Genesis brand, but through other brands, as they're all competing with each other for this market share. And this is where I blame Tesla, because Tesla has their own stations, blah, blah, blah. Tesla doesn't do press cars, and I'm not comparing this to a Tesla like everyone else does. But what I'm saying is the problem here is Tesla slowed down innovation. Tesla caused this. Tesla caused people having to race to the EV space and stop R&D on things like hydrogen fuel cells and find ways to compete for market share against Tesla. So Genesis is doing it, Mercedes is doing it, BMW has done it. They're all trying to do it. Honda is even coming out with their own EV. But Toyota is saying, no, we're going to do hydrogen. Toyota is saying, no, we've got hybrids. And honestly, I think they're onto something. Because this thing, at this cost and this waste of time, as nice as this car is, I could not live like this. I could not live knowing that late at night, I'd have to charge here before I go home, or I'd have to go wake up in the morning and go do this because I need to be somewhere. And let's just say we go here, let's go back, we go to the EV thing, and we hit this page that shows I have 180 mile range. We can hit this map right here, and it can show us, okay, we can go all the way to San Antonio now on this charge. But that took an hour. And if I had a gas car, I would have been out of here in less than 10 minutes. And in an hour, I could have been in Waco by now. Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, but what kind of car is this?
It's a Genesis.
A Genesis? This is nice.
Thanks.
Real nice.
Thanks. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. Thanks. They like it. I like it. Okay, so essentially there's a range that you can take this car to, but once you get down to San Antonio, where are you going to charge? Are you going to be at a hotel that has only a level 2 charger, which would charge at 7 kilowatt hours instead of 100 kilowatt hours? You see what I'm saying? The whole grid is not prepared for this. You might have convenience at your home, charging a car like this and then driving around town and coming back. But in order to go out of town, let's go back here. EV, that map. In order to go beyond that range, you're better off flying. And if this whole thing is about being green, then why would you have to fly to go to San Antonio or Houston? I thought you could just take your car like normal, not in your EV. And this is the hypocrisy we have that I see, is that you can have the NBA finals and you can have 7 games, one in Boston, one in San Francisco, Boston, San Francisco, Boston, San Francisco, and people can fly back and forth across the country to play a freaking basketball game 7 times to determine who the winner is. Now, how green is that? And then they have the audacity to tell everyone else, we need to save, we need to conserve, we need to do this, we need to do that. But they're just going and playing basketball game. And by the way, they're all millionaires, multi-millionaires. And I have to live like this? Something's not adding up. As great as this car is, this cost versus that cost, and I'm talking about time, this is 1 hour. And if I have to spend 1 hour a week charging a car like this, that's 52 hours a year. That's more than an entire work week charging a car. Well, with all this time, I managed to make something useful out of it. I found a way to convert the Celsius to Fahrenheit. So I realized it was very cold in here, so I changed it to 70, raised the temperature, and it's 93 degrees out. So I highly doubt you're going to sit in this car charging it for an hour without it being on when it's 93 degrees out. And I can just imagine what it would be like if it was raining or snowing, or, you know, maybe there was a climate threat, like a hurricane coming in, and you had to sit here and wait before you can evacuate. And maybe there's more than one car waiting in line for all of this stuff. And of course, when everyone's plugged in, it slows it down even more. So if you lived in a place like Houston or New Orleans, would a car like this even save your life? If you were on the coast, maybe North Carolina, Florida, and you had to evacuate, are you going to take this car? I mean, if you could only go 190 miles from here up the coast of Florida, no, you're not going to make it. So I don't know. This car just seems like, the concept of an EV is not this one in particular, just EVs in general, don't really make sense. It does if you stay in the city and commute all the time, but not when you got to go somewhere or be somewhere. It's crazy. 5 minutes remaining to get to 100% charge. I don't know what this is going to cost, but I've got a lot better things to do than sit here for over an hour and charge a car. If this was near a park or at a gym, I'd be working out in the gym. If that was a gym, I'd be doing something with that time rather than just sitting on my butt and maybe taking a conference call or texting or watching TikTok or doing some stupid stuff. Like, there has to be a better way, period. And I think that if charging stations were in a more logical place, and I'm not talking like at a grocery store, I'm talking about at a gym or a cigar shop or a place where you can just spend hours and get more productive than just sitting here doing nothing, that would make more sense to me. Maybe even at a park, if I can go for a walk at the park, do a 40-minute, 3.5 mile walk, I don't know. Even though it's 93 degrees outside, it's actually pretty nice. It's normally 105 here in Dallas. But when this gets to 100%, I'm gonna cut to going to the unplugging the thing and then looking at the numbers. We're going to see how many kilowatt hours it took, multiply that by 0.5, as it's 50 cents a kilowatt hour to charge for this, and look at the total miles. So we started at 19, So we deduct 19. I'm going to round it to 20 and see how much it costs to go so many miles. And that's basically going to be what it did cost me to do that kind of distance, that kind of driving. What it did cost me, costs. All right, I'm probably just giving you too much information, but I just want to do it just in case so that you know what it's like. Okay, we are at 99% charge, 1 minute left, and that's there on the screen. So it shows the battery level, and then it tells me the nearest charging station to that, where I'm gonna go as far as how far it will take. So that's 195 miles. Look, we just hit 100%. That is from the charge session disconnected. Okay, so it killed it, and now I get charged per minute for every minute I stay connected to the charger. So I gotta go unplug it. Let's do that right now. Let's see how much kilowatt hours that took. Let me turn this off. Turn it off. And I'm not done charging, so the time is still not gonna be stopped. The clock is still running here. Come here, push this button, yank it out. Okay. 74.5 kilowatt hours. I don't even know why this is even on here. I would take that off if this was my car. There we go. 74.5. So 74 times 0.5. Just under 40. So 34.50. $34.50, I think it is. Turn it on. 196 miles. So let's just say 200 miles and we subtract 20. 180 miles. 180 miles for 35 bucks. I don't have a pen. I can't work this out in my head right now. Let's just say it was 200 miles at 40 bucks. Right? That would be 200 per 100 miles, so 50 cents a mile. Nope. No. 50 cents a mile. Oh my god, my brain hurts. 50 cents a mile to go to 200 miles would be 40 bucks. Yeah, 50 cents a mile. 50 cents a kilowatt hour, 50 cents a mile. So if I had a car and I went 200 miles and I got 20 miles per gallon, it would be 10 gallons. Nope, it would be 5 gallons per 100 miles at 20 miles a gallon. That's low, that's like conservative. 5 gallons at 4 is 20 bucks per 100 miles. It'd be the same at $4 a gallon or $5 a gallon at 20 miles per gallon. So this is essentially getting less than 20 miles per gallon if you were to do the equivalent in a gas car at this electricity cost. So am I saving anything here? No, I don't think I'm saving. And you'll see this number here and you'll be like, oh, what's that? Well, if I turn the AC off, which is never going to happen in Texas, I'd get 217 miles of range. But let's drive for a minute or two and see if maybe my previous full charge tank of driving messes with the estimated range of this full charge, right? And maybe this will increase as my driving style demonstrates more efficiency or something like that. But if it sticks at 195, oh my god, traffic. If it sticks at 195, okay, it's not even $4 a gallon, it's $3.65 a gallon. Ho ho ho. Okay, so $3.65 a gallon. Let's just round that up to $3.70. 3.7 times 4 is 12 plus another 2.8, so 15 bucks per 100 miles, so 30 at 20 miles a gallon, and most cars get better than 20 miles a gallon. I know that the Toyota Supra would get 30 on the highway. Oh man, this does not make sense. This traffic's terrible too. I'll catch up in a minute. Ironically, with this 7-Eleven and Laredo Taco here, which is brand new, it's like a 2-story 7-Eleven. It's kind of weird. Across the street is a QT. And I don't know if they have a charging station or not, but they do have better food, I think. Well, maybe not. Oh, finally we're crossing. How long did that take? 3 minutes? Okay, so the range is dropping, 194 miles. And this is annoying too, because it says 100%, but we know it's not 100%. And how long can I go? So I've done 1 mile off of the range, and it's still at 100%. So does it just go down to 98%? Does it say 99%? Like, are you ever gonna get a full charge out of this thing? That, you know, as you use it, you know, when it gets down to like 90%, do you just plug it in every night and then just keep it at 100%? Is that good for the battery? Do you cap it off at 80%? Like, does any of that make any sense? Are you supposed to understand how this works? Or are you just supposed to just drive it? And in that case, if an EV is just about getting around, and obviously it costs more than a gas car to do so right now, when you fast charge it, what is the driving like on this? Well, number one, it's a heavy car. Number two, it's on all-season tires, not performance tires, even though this has over 400 horsepower. Number three, it's very bouncy because of the weight, but the suspension does a lot of work, which is fine because these are terrible roads in Dallas. But would I own one of these? I think I'll do a separate video and we'll talk about that. Thanks for watching. Please know that all of this time and money came out of my pocket. I don't get reimbursed for any of this stuff. Nobody helps me except you when you watch my videos, and of course YouTube pays me for the ads that are played. Hint, hint. If you'd like to donate or contribute, you can reach out to me directly. I'll give you some links, or you know, I definitely appreciate your help, but this is not going to be an affordable business going forward at these fuel prices and this electricity price for cars that I don't even get paid to do these videos for, if that makes any sense. 99%, and I have 1 less mile. This would really bother me if I was completely OCD. I'm just slightly OCD, but I think a real OCD person would just constantly, they'd probably log like the variation and find like a stoichiometric, you know, mileage to cost difference to percentage full charge. They'd find something crazy. Like, and Elon Musk, who probably is why he owns Tesla, is using all that data to figure out how to send someone to Mars. Oh my God. I think I just cracked the code, the Musk code. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.